What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to Horror Hangout. Got a fun video for you guys. I don't do these as often as I should. It's a lot more work than it usually ends up being worth. But the channel's growing, and I want to bring you guys content that you want to watch. So a little while back, I did top 5 horror movies on Hulu, and that video did really well. But it's been a while, and they've changed their offerings. So I'm going to change my video. We're going to do top 5 horror movies on Hulu. 2022 version. So yeah, let's just dive right in. So the thing is that there wasn't enough on there for me to do a top 10, or I would have. So yeah, there's a couple things I want to just mention real quick before I get into my actual top 5, because my top 5 is more of like a hidden gem top 5. It's movies that are a little more indie, maybe is the right word, a little more independent, not necessarily art house or anything, but just maybe one or two of them, but like they're more independent, so it may not be something that you might have heard of, and you might want some recommendations. And so that's what I was trying to bring you. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to throw out there real quick. We had Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell. If you're ever bored and want to watch a good horror movie that's got a little bit of scary, a little bit of funny, but it's made really well and got some good acting. Justin Long is in it, Alison Lohman. Drag Me to Hell by Sam Raimi is on here. We've got all of the first like 4 or 5 Alien movies on here, and there's Lars von Trier's the House that Jack Built. I just watched that with a buddy, and we did a whole podcast on it. So if you're interested in that movie, that is also on Hulu. So those are my honorable mentions for this video. I'm not going to go into what those are, who all that stuff. So let's start off with number 5. Is a movie from 2020. It is what's his name? Brandon Cronenberg did a movie called Possessor. It's about an elite corporate assassin who takes control of other people's bodies using brain implant technology to execute high-profile targets. So when this movie came out, I watched it once. I didn't know anything about it, and I really didn't like it. I think the fact that Cronenberg film just came out recently, I went back and I read about this movie. I was like, oh yeah, I didn't really care for that much. But then I read a little bit about it. I was like, oh, I don't think I really understood what it was about. So I gave it a rewatch, knowing a little bit more about it, and it was way better, and I enjoyed it a lot more. I think you should give it a watch if you like weird body horror stuff. This is a pretty fun movie to watch. Well, fun's a subjective word, I guess, but I wouldn't call it fun necessarily. Number 4 is definitely more of a what are they calling it now? What they call it in Scream? They called it a what they call it? Anyways, elevated horror. That's what I was trying to think of. Elevated horror. All right. Number 4 is a movie that came out last year, 2021, by the same director of the movie Raw. I don't know if you've seen Raw, but it's really good. It used to be on Hulu. I didn't see it on there at this point, but it's a movie called Titan. I don't really know how to pronounce it correctly, but it's about a woman with a titanium plate fitted in her head and murderous intent on her mind embarks on a bizarre journey of identity and unconditional love when she's forced to go on the run. This is a weird amalgamation of slasher and body horror, and it's one that the more I watch it and the more I learn about it, the more I end up liking it. It's got a couple of really, really good performances in it. Some interesting music, good cinematography. It's a good flick, man. If you're bored, you want to watch something a little out there, man, this is a good one. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm still kind of under the weather right now. Number 3 is a movie that just came out this year, and I loved it. It's got Sebastian Stan in it. It's called Fresh. It is a cannibal movie. The horrors of modern dating are seen through the eyes of a young woman who is battling to survive her new boyfriend's unusual appetites. Great music, great cinematography, a little bit more of a slow burn on this one, but it's a great movie with a couple of twists that I will not tell you about. Go check this one out, man. If you're a fan of Sebastian Stan, this movie is pretty great, man. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. I would like to see it again soon. Pardon the sniffling, I'm so sorry. Number 2. So I'm reading off my phone right now because, well, it's easier that way. Number 2 is a movie from 2020 that stars Joe Keery from Stranger Things fame. It is a movie called Spree, and when it first came out, I was very hesitant to even watch it. I didn't think I'd like it at all. The movie goes about like this. Desperate for an online following, a rideshare driver has figured out a deadly plan to go viral, and he will stop at nothing to get his 5 minutes of fame. And it seems like, oh, that's kind of corny. All these modern day horror movies using social media. dude, this is probably one of the top 5 in that. You know what? I should make a top 5 list of that. There's that also that one called Host. I think these are my 2 favorites. This movie, Joe Keery, is that his name? Joe? It's Joe Keery? Yeah, Joe Keery. Dude, that kid absolutely kills it in this movie, and it's kind of like one of those spiraling out of control films. And there's things where you're like, there's no way he's gonna do this. Oh, he does it. Spree is a cool movie, man. I think that it's one of those movies that's destined to become a cult classic. It's got a small following right now. The people that really like it, myself included. Yeah, not much else to say about it. I'd say go give it a watch, man. It's on Hulu. And the number 1 horror movie on Hulu currently isn't something I would consider a hidden gem, but it is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. It is one of my personal favorite horror movies, period. It's on my top 10 horror movies of all time. It is Eli Roth's Cabin Fever, dude. I freaking love this movie. It's got Eli Roth, Ryder Strong, Jordan Ladd, a couple other people in it that you might recognize. Joey Kern, who's he's freaking Sweet Lou from Grind. It's got James DeBello, a couple other people you might recognize. Cabin Fever is about a group of college graduates who rent a cabin in the woods, of all things, and begin to fall victim to a flesh-eating virus. This movie is gross, man, in all the best ways. It's got some weird shit in it. It's got some pretty funny dialogue. It is a little cringy, though. There's some things that's 20 years old, and there's some things that they say and do in this movie that we wouldn't necessarily call okay today. But, you know, you got to be able to handle that stuff, especially if you're watching horror movies. So I wouldn't say that it's okay to to remake those mistakes, but to watch something that was 20 years old, you can't really get around it. So either watch it or don't. But I really love this movie. It's I guess this one's considered body horror. There's a bunch of body horror on my list this time around. But yeah, so let's go over those one more time real fast. So in case you didn't, if anybody wants to timestamp this so you don't have to listen to the whole spiel. We got number 5 is Possessor. Number 4 is Titan. Number 3 is Fresh. Number 2 is Spree. And number 1 is Cabin Fever. Those are the top 5 horror movies currently streaming on Hulu. Thank you so much for hanging out, man. I hope you enjoyed the video. Pardon my being kind of under the weather. I had to get something done, though. I was just itching, man. I'll make another one pretty soon, though, and I'll have a top 5 on Tubi coming pretty soon as well. So if there's a streaming service you want me to go check out, let me know in the comments. If you like this channel, you like what we're doing over here, and you appreciate all my hard work, which I think you might, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And yeah, if you want to check out my other channels, we got Shop 31 if you're into music, and Make Art Life if you are into, well, art. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.